We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge of the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In Iran, Corn Festival.
We would like to bring to the board's attention that currently Kale Drive is 30 feet on our property along 662. And we'd like, since you guys are redoing Kale Drive and re-academy it, we would like that we took that land of ours given back to us.
Do you have a survey?
I can show Robbie or anybody who wants to go out there, I have a metal detector and I can show you where the pin is. The pin is located right next to where the storm sewer is, because the storm sewer was put in along the old road, the farm. And then everybody started it, not all the supervisors and the roadmasters just kept coming over, And this is like 60 to 63 feet along the road. That is not normal Old Shore Road, a normal intersection. A township road is 33 feet if I'm correct. So that's 30 feet over. And I would like to just have this done just
Before you go into the paving
before we go
project,
into the paving project.
I'd
And
like to let you know
I'd
that
just like to let you know, and I feel it's your right to give us our land back and realign Kale Drive properly with 662.
Do we have to get a survey, or how do we handle that?
Well, I think we need some more information. I mean, I appreciate your point of view on this, and I think we certainly owe it to you to investigate this and try to figure it out. But, before we make a decision about any course of action, I think a survey might be appropriate, but also document review to see, I don't know when Kale Drive was laid out. I don't know if it's a dedicated street.
It's a dedicated road from the Kale Brothers. It was not dedicated from us.
Okay.
and it was not dedicated until way after the road was put in.
All right.
We're here 47 years. The building is here 48. And they put the driveway in, and we never realized it was on our property at that point. But every time it gets paved, it keeps coming over and coming over and coming over.
I mean, you can go out there, when you go out tonight and you drive out, just look straight ahead and look where it should be.
Well, if there was a dedication from the Kale Brothers, there ought to
It
be
was
some
later in time.
documentation.
Yes,
But,
I'm pretty sure it's here.
hopefully there is some kind of legal description that was part of that deed of dedication. And if we can find a document like that, we can certainly locate where it should be.
Okay.
And then we can respond to it at that time. But, I think we need to look at that information in order to
I
decide
understand.
how to follow up.
Do you know, when you're saying, and I just asking a question, was the road centered in that right of way or whatever was dedicated?
No.
No, because the right of way should begin at the edge of our property and go 33 feet north. And it never
In
did
other
that.
words, it was originally a single farmway. But it went back to the farm. That's all it was a single farmway. And instead of, they just didn't put it in right. When they got out to the thing, it was easier to come over on our property and take our property. And you can see how I drew it. It just back here, it's like 5 feet back here. The pin's back there. And this just goes front on an angle.
We don't have a rectangle. We have
We
a
have a
parallelogram.
If you look at it, you can see it's 203, 220, 228, 230. It's not a rectangle lot. They're like that all the way up through. And that comes off of Berks Condi's assessment. That's where I got that.
All right, we'll have to,
Well, the assessment records are not a survey. But hopefully there's better documents here at the township building or at the courthouse that we could rely upon to evaluate.
I know
this.
that they dedicated it several years after.
They just had the right of way in the
Right.
beginning.
It was an easement.
Okay.
The only twist we have to add on here is, I think the work on Kell Drive is supposed to start on Monday.
Oh.
So we'll have to try to,
expedite it.
expedite this and figure out.
What year did they build this thing?
1976. We bought the land in 77.
78.
78, yes, I'm sorry, it's the beginning of 78. And I know that that document exists in the file. It was here when it was here.
All right, well, we'll research it. And
Okay.
we'll, squeeze your team tonight instead of next one.
Well,
We're gonna do it on Monday.
it was,
I
and
didn't-
that's
didn't
when we
realize that.
realized we needed to kind of get our act together and get it back here to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Because we knew that was coming. I didn't think it was coming that soon, but we
All
guessed
right,
maybe it
we'll
was on the way.
take care of that.
Well, I can do the legal research, and I don't know if Jim can look at the township building, but this should be recorded, so I'm hoping that we can identify it at the recorder's office pretty quickly. The only other question I have is, to the extent that if you follow the property line, for traffic that's heading north on 662 and making a right turn into the driveway, it would be a really sharp turn to get in. So I guess I want to just throw it out there. Would the two of you have any willingness to give any kind of an easement or right of way to the township to make that a smoother turn for that traffic that's going north on 662?
At this point, no. You have to make, right now, the problem with this is that when you come down 662 and you turn in from this way, it's an over 90 degree. And they're constantly driving on my lane. I'm sure you saw where they drove on. And I'm almost positive, I can't prove it because I didn't see it. But the week that Maxatoni Township was back here with their triaxle and their big long trailer on, I got all my stakes run over. Because they aren't aware that it's over a 90 degree turn. So my suggestion is for them to make it a 90 degree turn to make everything easier.
Yeah, well, we can't make it, this is beyond 90. I mean, that's just a hard turn here.
Well, you're gonna have to go out further on your lane, what you got.
I think is there a utility pole on that other side too?
They're just gonna have to be moved. They moved my utility pole, when I built my house, they had to move the utility pole.
Yeah, we'll just have to probably see where it's at.
Yeah, we have to do some research first.
So, all right,
Okay,
Then
we'll check it out.
thank
Yep,
you for
Thank
your
you.
consideration.
All right, approval of the minutes from June 10th.
Yeah, looks good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business, code enforcement.
For the period ending July 1st, we issued a total of 8 permits with an improvement value of $509,118. A couple of enforcement issues, 604 crisscross, just about, I think, close to finalizing what they want to bring for their land development planning commission. Scott and I had a conversation with Rob Payne about a week or so ago. And I need to reach out to him for one more item, and then they'll have the township, the zoning issues pretty well resolved with that. So I think that should be the way the planning commission will end up in front of you guys soon. The property out on 222, the old Kirbyville Hotel. We have not issued building permits for that yet, but it's very close. They just needed to revise their plans for their MEPs. So that's just about taken care of. There were a couple issues resolved. There's a property owner I need to speak with about an issue on Southview Road. I hope to have that conversation tonight. And Mr. Lindenmuth will be moving the last two tractors hopefully in the next day or two, and that will put that to bed. He's got 2 tractor tires coming tomorrow, I think, so. That's pretty much where we're at with that. I don't know if we want to discuss it under Scott's report or now, the Jawad situation.
I'm good.
I think we just wanted to make sure the board still has a position, time extensions have been granted, and there's no further time extensions. We're anticipating that being a request, but I think we kind of want to make sure we say there's a hard deadline. And
The last time I spoke to Jawad, within the last 2 months, he told me he wanted to continue with this project, that he has all the plans finished for this commercial building. That's fine. You have until the agreement, which is around the end of October, that everything needs to be finished.
It's the end of August, isn't it?
August, yeah.
so it was,
Yeah.
Well, whatever it is, we gotta verify because
That's
Mark,
Right.
I brought it with me, so it's
Yeah.
back in
August 8th, 24.
Okay. And then he wanted me to speak with his, I believe it's his brother-in-law, who's his civil engineer. So that's fine, I'll be happy to talk to him. He never contacted me, so I've done what we could with that. I've tried to communicate, the ball's in his court, he hasn't got back to me, so.
when did the project start? Do you remember? Like, that's before my time. That's before
Well,
my tenure.
it was going on before I started, I'm not sure.
First 10
if it's
years.
in 11,
I think it's more than 10 by now.
So,
yeah, it might be even earlier, I think it was 2011.
2011.
That
So-
sounds about as
So,
close.
I think we're all in agreement, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but that is a hard deadline.
That's fun. That's- Glad to hear that.
More than patient.
More than.
I'd recommend a motion to confirm the position of the township that the deadline is as was agreed to in 2022.
I make a motion that the deadline is, as it was agreed to in 2022, it's a hard deadline. All in favor?
Just to confirm, Chris, it's August 8th.
Yep,
Well, I'm looking at.
Yeah.
on August 8th, 22, you asked the board for 2 years to complete the paving, which the board made a motion to approve.
Is that it, Jeff?
Yep.
SEO report for June 2024. Who's our contact for this?
Right.
I don't think they're asking any questions. Make a motion to accept the report. Police report.
Okay,
Leave
police report for June, just under 4,000 patrol miles. They handled 154 incidents, 13 crash investigations. They also issued 34 traffic citations. Completed a total of 63 vehicle stops, 35 hours for my criminal investigator for follow-up, and 3 hours court time. We investigated 6 reportable crimes in June, including disorderly conduct, 3 harassment complaints, and 2 thefts. I'm still looking for part-time help. And the only thing I have outside of that is National Night Out is scheduled for August 6th. It's over at the fairgrounds. And I'm going to be working on a new monthly police report format. Just going to add some different data points. But that probably won't be completed by until the September meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anybody got any questions?
Questions?
Yeah, could I ask two, just out of curiosity?
Sure.
Number one, have you guys done anything lately about speed enforcement on the driveway road?
That I would have to look into. I'm not sure.
It seems like there's cars that are flying up through there awfully fast again.
I believe, if I'm mistaken, I believe they just put new lines out there last week.
Not that I'm aware of.
At the,
Oh, maybe for you guys. it might
Yeah, the
be.
lines on the
Okay.
road. That's how we have to run speed. I
Yeah.
believe that's repainting lines out there, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't necessarily keep track. They're mandated to so many vehicle contacts per shift, but I don't keep track exactly where they're at all the times. But if there's an issue out there, I'm not sure we pass it along. Driveway road's always been a hot spot.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know they think that brake strip through there. And the other thing I was just wondering, is there some way to do something about some of the littering out there? I'm constantly finding bottles on the end of my driveway.
It's hard to say. Littering is one of those things where we have to witness them doing it. Or if they're throwing trash bags, we get information out of trash bags. Sometimes we go through them. But outside of that, it's what we see is a lot of these roadways, it's dark and there's no one around and they're just throwing their trash out the windows. But I can assure you, if an officer's behind them or if they witness it, they get stopped beside it.
I mean, some of the bottles that I find along my property there are liquor bottles too.
So, but I'll pass all the information on to them.
Thank you.
Best thing to do for that, put a fine for $500 for trash on the road. Probably solve it. They caught $500 fine. You do that?
Do it.
I see it all over
We
the
still have to
place.
catch them though. That's the problem.
I see it all over the place.
Any, just a curiosity, any update, any movement on radar for other than state police?
I haven't heard anything lately. I keep hearing it's still legislation, and that's the last we heard. The other thing I know outside of that is, and this goes back probably a year ago, they were still talking about pushing it through. But then the state wants to put all types of restrictions on it. I don't know exactly what those restrictions are. I don't even know if they've changed or not. So they're still battling it out.
Just curious, make your job a little easier.
We are all curious of what's been going on with it. And it's, quite frankly, it's frustrating. And makes no sense anymore. To police officers. It's just,
Yeah,
the last I heard, their concern was that we were gonna use it to generate revenue. And they did numbers on it, and it's literally impossible. So I'm not really sure what the holdup is at this point. I mean, this has been going on, I've been here 25 years, it's been going on since then, and before that.
yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the holdup is anymore. Quite frankly, I don't think anybody does.
Every
So-
once in a while, we just talk about it because it'd be nice.
Yeah, we try to follow it, but you hear something for a while and then you won't hear anything for a year about it. Last I heard, that's where it's still floating around somewhere in the legislature.
Like it's dangerous for you guys with the lines and then they set up that whatever across the traffic out here. It just doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make our job any easier.
And I was
A lot of the roads we could deal with the speeding issues, the radar is literally the only way to deal with it. There's only certain things you can do with the devices we have, so it's frustrating. If I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's just
For
curious.
sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Virginville Fire Company report. Doesn't see anything out of the order. From all the time we got. Anything to add?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, just golf tournament coming up.
Okay. Discuss the intersection of School Road and Fleetwood Lines Road. That is mailboxes. That has been treacherous for a while. Is there anything line of sight, anything we can do to move them mailboxes back or move them on the other side? Or you know where I mean? When you come out of
I
School
know the
Road,
intersection, are they on the east side of the,
left
They're
side,
on the east side.
east side.
yeah.
They get knocked off.
No, you just can't
So
see
you
it.
gotta pull front so far to see it.
And it's a, you know, with all the deck of traffic on Fleetwood Lines Road, it is challenging. Someone made it.
I know, I can't picture them, but is it a cluster of?
Yeah, it's a row of
There's just,
half a dozen.
Well, there's two that are
there's
really
two that are real
problematic.
close, but there's
Is
some others
there,
down.
is there a better location? They move them back from the intersection, you know.
They're from the properties across the street.
Yeah, or farther east maybe.
We have to work with the post office, but, I mean, if it's just moving them down the street a couple of feet, that I would hope would not be a tremendously challenging thing to get them to approve.
So is that who we deal with first, the post office or the property owners?
I would find out if the post office is going to cooperate with the change and then talk to the property owners. I mean, it's a chicken and the egg.
Can you reach out to the post
I
office?
actually sent an email over to the Postmaster General regarding it, but I have not had a
Fleetwood.
response yet. Yes, yep.
Yeah. It is challenging.
Yeah. I did speak to PennDOT as well, and PennDOT just said, yeah, you're not cutting down all the time, and there's nothing to do about it. So,
I think if the post office pushes back, we might be able to lean on PennDOT a little more to try to get them to side on the site distance issue. If that is a site distance issue, I think we could probably try pushing on a couple different people.
I think
in
we
their
checked it a
department.
couple years ago, but I don't know if someone could check the site distance issue there, because it is a challenge. And all you need is someone to get hurt, and it's not
Yeah.
worth it.
I think the post office is the best bet if they're in support of sliding it, moving it, we can accommodate that, and I think.
Well, I mean, arguably, the delivery person also has a safety risk of being in that location because people can't safely go through the intersection. That's a risk to the delivery guy. Anyway, that's where I was.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Jen, you're already on top of it.
absolutely.
Property and casual insurance quotes received. So we had USI last year, and I asked Seltzer to quote. Seltzer would put us in a trust where we have an opportunity to get some premiums back if we perform well. And even without any of that, they're $9,000 cheaper. So it seems to make sense to renew with them. Plus have the opportunity to get some premium back.
So, I'm going to read. And he's gonna continue with that?
Yes,
Big,
all the policies that we have, the phone and everything.
We did look too at, well, you know, some cyber stuff. He's got some quotes on that, if that makes sense. So it's rampant right now with cyber attacks, but that also makes the insurance go up a lot higher than that's going to be. So I'll make a motion that we renew with Seltzer for next year on the quotes that he has here.
I'll second.
All in favor? The fire company renewal, the workers' comp. The only real competitive renewal was with the SWIFT, the state.
Yeah, the top part there was last year's, and the second page there is this year's. Just so you see the difference in rates.
So it went from 19,760 to 21,242.
Correct.
We did shop this too, but there's nothing there. What's the sum of workers' comp? That's reasonable. So I make a motion that we accept this. All in favor?
This is for both fire companies.
Yes.
Engineers report.
So the first item on there is the solar farm, and there's two items. The first is a time extension. There was a letter issued by Andrew Miller, who's here tonight, requesting an extension of the zoning use permit. If you recall from the April meeting, there was the discussion about the temporary permit to be issued. That was a 120-day period of time for that temporary. We're going to reach that before the next meeting, so they requested an extension of an additional 120 days. We've had conversations mainly through Jeff here with Mr. Miller, and the thought was 60 days. That would put us just short of a board meeting, so I think the request is actually for an extension of that 60 to 62 days. I think we prepared that. At this point, if you recall, the equipment has been installed, inspected, and basically approved with the exception of all the other zoning requirements that are tied to it, which is the site improvements. So on the zoning aspect of the equipment, the codes department who would issue that really didn't have any issue with doing so. However, we're just coming to the board meeting to discuss this, bring it to your attention if there's any comments or any other items to discuss. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I don't think I have anything to add from our letter. We're just asking the township's continued patience and work with us, as I believe almost all of the work, the soil amendments work and the retention basin conversions to a final state has been completed. Now it's a matter of stabilization of the site, what's been seeded, and I believe originally the township had talked that you're not willing to issue a final CNO for the property until the NPDES permit's actually closed out. So that'll require stabilization of the site, and only time can get that done at this point.
What's left?
So they are working at, so the soil amendments between the panels and around the site, with the exception of the last basin, have been completed. There's an area between the two basins that through the time they stabilized it and left it, it's growing pretty thick, to say it in just a quick way. And they've requested leaving it like that. So if you're gonna, you gotta somehow show that it's going to still operate as it was designed, but they're working through getting that approved with the Conservation District. They had to do a little bit of adjustments on the one infiltration basin as well. They've done that, but they still have to get those approvals through our office in the Conservation District. But we still need to do a walkthrough. The seating areas is one of them, as you said, that has to get stabilized. We have a couple items that Wednesday we walk through the site with the Conservation District, it looks like, to make sure that their checklist is clear. I mean, that's just to be upfront on this one, they don't hold the security, we hold the security. And through the memo of understanding the township has with them, we always make sure they're clear on any punch list items as well. So that's part of what we're looking for. But really the bulk work is wrapped up. It's just gonna be down to what items we still have remaining. There's a walkthrough on Weaver's Road. They have to finalize their driveway improvements on each one of those approaches into the site, so. Some items, but it's not a long list.
How they been doing with property maintenance, keep the grass cut?
Yeah, there was a rather large site meeting they had, which kind of kept them in gear on getting up to that speed on that. I kind of defer to Jeff.
When we were there that meeting, they had everything cut pretty well. We were finishing the back that day.
So, and it was okay because that meeting was happening. But how are we gonna ensure that that stays that way?
So that's part of our checklist items, because that was one of the questions that came up at the last meeting. As of right now, we're looking at the ordinances in place, and it really does hold this property, commercial property with the residential properties that abut it, to the same standards as it would somewhere else, which is 6 inches max. And that's when you can start approaching them, sending them on violation. I do want to make sure we clear that with the conservation district. I think within the solar panels, typically there's different standards, but I think that's more often than not, Chris, am I correct, in the more stringent of the standards apply. That's what it looks like it is here. So we're going to be bringing that to their attention and making sure that it's some sort of maintenance plan that they can keep up with that.
Yeah, I think just on that point, I think the DEP FAQs for solar farms have a minimum standard for the grass height in there, as well as the meadow mix that was used on the project. Probably has some specifications to follow as well, just to make sure that it's established and actually infiltrating the maximum amount of water.
Yeah, I'm not so much worried about the inside. I'm sure they'll take care of it. Well, I hope they would take care of the inside with the panels. I'm more worried about outside the fence, along Weaver's Road, along Fleetwood Lions Road. So it looks,
You have to understand that to the neighbors, aesthetics is,
it's big.
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
That is a good point. I think the ordinance does speak to the areas that are up against a residential property and the first 120 feet, how that's maintained.
At what point do they pull the socks?
Once, and most ENS plans talk about 70% stabilization with a solar farm, that's actually 90%. So it's kind of
A lot better than that, then. Easier to maintain.
yeah, it's a perspective thing there for what 90% is, but I think that's kind of what we're gonna address on Wednesday and trying to discuss what we're expecting and what areas might have it, what might not.
And you asked about the Knox box. They have 2 Knox boxes installed. I got a call on that. I called back and talked with the guy one time, and I told him they should have either a combination or a key to get in the locks for the fences in the front and the lower one. And nothing has been done. He hasn't got a hold of me or anything since then. They should have at least a map, a small map in there, and at least I know the one on the other side of the railroad tracks is a combination lock. I don't know what they're gonna put on the other 2, but I know what we're not allowed to touch or anything basically, but if something happens in there, I mean, I got a cutter that'll cut anything, but rather not. You know what I mean? And the agreement was to put stuff in the Knox box.
Yeah, I would say, let me grab your info and we'll give that to them and make sure whoever's at the meeting reaches out to you.
Scott, I would even suggest that he potentially be there at the meeting to go over that in person, to make sure that it's clear what the fire company needs in those Knox boxes.
Check with you.
Let me know.
I think right now it's Wednesday at 1. I'll get your info and we'll figure out. Well, yeah, we'll see. We might be able to work. I'll reach out to you tomorrow and see what we good stuff. For an update on where the construction stands, that's kind of how I sum it up.
So you're recommending through the October meeting only, is that?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
okay.
So that was what everybody was most comfortable with, was a 60-day, in this case, 62-day extension of the same.
I counted 70 days to take it to the day after the meeting. The October meeting is 14th, I believe, October,
It would be from, are you starting from August 6th?
August
Okay.
6th. My math is right. That's the 219th day of the year, and October 15th, which would be the day after the supervisor's meeting, 289. So that would be 70 days from August 6th. I'm the lawyer, not the mathematician.
There you go.
That's my calculation. So if we would go 70 days to the day after the October meeting, that would,
I'm okay with that. They make progress. I'll make a motion.
oh, sorry.
All in favor?
The second item on there was the second request for an escrow lease for the same property. This request was simply for soil amendments. They were requesting up to 83% of the total cost. Technically, the soil amendments are closer to complete than that. However, because they haven't been stabilized, they still have the pond to do. Our recommendation is based on an 80% release of what, up to 80% of the soil amendments. There was some previously released. This escrow release would be $865,327.28. That still leaves $899,506.48 remaining in balance. In our opinion, I mean, there's still a significant retainage on that soil amendments to be able to verify that they get stabilized properly and that everybody's satisfied before we release the end of that.
Before we go any further with that, I want to ask Andy, we are in a number, and the number's not that great, a couple more months, we're going to reach that 1-year anniversary from the beginning of the electrification of the project. And that, I believe, is going to trigger the decommissioning agreement under the zoning. So, you know, we could argue about what the date is, but it's coming up. So is Heelstone intending to provide a cash escrow for the decommissioning costs, or do they intend to provide a new security of some other form? And the reason I'm asking this, obviously, is we have a chunk of cash in the bank, and if there was an intention to convert that rather than to release it back, you know, something we ought to talk about. I mean, at this point, did they actually make a request for a release, or?
They did, yes.
They did, okay. So I guess the company's intention would be to get a release instead of to credit this towards the decommissioning costs.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that discussion or that option has been put on the table for them. So I can certainly follow up this evening and try to get an answer within the next day or two.
Well, what I would suggest is that the board approve the release tonight, but condition the release of the funds back to the developer on us having this discussion about whether or not Heelstone wants to have a credit. And if they do want to apply these funds toward the cost of that decommissioning, bond or whatever we're gonna call it, then, maybe we keep the money instead of giving it back. But again, I don't know what that number is. Has there been discussion about what that number might look like yet?
No, I think that number could have quite a big
It
range.
could be north of this number.
So who decides that?
Well, I think they're gonna, like a cost estimate, they'll have their engineer produce a number, but we have to review it and approve it. But there's been quite a bit of discussion, state level and even greater, on what those numbers should be and have become, so.
So this will be something we'll need to talk about. And, because we're gonna be holding that security for a very long time, I'm not sure the company wants it to be a cash escrow. But I just wanted to raise the topic for discussion tonight because there is a release pending and we're now whittling away the cash escrow that the township's been holding for that construction phase.
Yeah, I'll raise that with them. I think under the ordinance, we submit an estimate to you, Scott, to review.
That's
and
what my expectation is now.
yeah, so I'll raise that with them and see where they are on the estimate and just make sure that that's in progress. And I'll ask about the cash escrow. I would suspect most times I see it done with a bond, with a
That
decommissioning
was sort of
bond,
what I was expecting, but
but I'll ask them.
I thought this would be a good time to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So would there be some wisdom in waiting, or should we?
Well, they're entitled to the escrow release, so
I say we release it and then we still have 900,000 left.
but like I said, we don't have to issue the check until I hear from Andy about what the company's thoughts are on the form of security that they're gonna utilize. If Andy comes back and says they're gonna definitely use a bond, then I would say write them a check and give them the money.
So then the escrow release would be for the $865,327.28 per the letter, conditioned upon a response regarding the decommissioning security.
Yeah, and I would like to get that process underway.
Yeah, no, I agree. That could take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Reviews.
All right, I'll make that.
I'll second.
Okay, so the next item, the Glad Tidings Church, if you recall, they expanded their parking lot. All the improvements on the end of the building permits have been completed, resolved. There was an item for restoring the property. In short, there was a small security, $3,000 held until that was done. Out there recently, they have that wrapped up. There's still some seeding that needs to be taken, but they actually went back in and reseeded, remulched it. I expect it to stay on top of it until the little areas need to get finalized. But at this time, I would recommend the board release that security for Glad Tidings.
Good with it? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
The Winkler subdivision plan was a simple subdivision plan. John Hoffer's here tonight. Give a little background on this for the board. It did get to the planning commission. They had made a recommendation of approval with the condition of a few notes being added to the plan. Some of what were in the letter, one additional note was discussed and decided to be put on the note having to do with pre-existing non-conformities of the property. But I don't know if you want to give a little more.
Sure,
John.
if I may, John Hoffert, representing the Winkler subdivision. It's naturally subdivided by 222. The actual address is 14098 Kutztown Road, just north of Richmond Road intersection. It's got the stone bank barn very close to the road. Then it has a single-family dwelling on the
right side going north, and also a metal sided garage. The left side is vacant ground that's been utilized for farmland forever. There are no improvements on that property at all. So almost by a natural subdivision, the Winklers wish to simply subdivide the tract. Just so happens, it is enrolled in Clean and Green, and the left side is just slightly over 10 acres, so it worked out perfect that the center of 222 will now be the division line. We added all the appropriate notes as Scott requested, as well as an additional note from the Planning Commission. So at this point in time, being a simple subdivision, we are respectfully requesting final plan approval. I do have extra copies of the subdivision plan with me, if you would like to view it at this time.
I understand where it's at. Is there any questions or that we should look at it?
There's no conservation easement on the property.
No, just Clean and Green.
And what happens when they widen 222? Is that gonna affect your Clean and Green?
No, because the roads are, I mean, the deed is going to be written to the center of 222.
Oh, yeah.
Which is therefore going to be in excess of 10.0 acres. So even if there is a additional taking from PennDOT, it depends on how they take it. If they could affect it, yes. Technically speaking, we're selling it to the center of the road today because we're basing our right-of-way plans on what's there today. With an additional taking, technically, I've seen PennDOT plans take from the center line to wherever their now desired right-of-way is in B. And that could affect them in the future, yes.
Just curious how that works.
Yeah.
That's a good question. There wouldn't be, if there's a taking by PennDOT, that in and of itself does not trigger a rollback. But if it reduces the overall acreage, maybe they would lose their eligibility. I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is to that.
We do have a note on the plan. Another note on the plan that basically says, to contact the county, just to go over to make sure that they're not in violation by the subdivision. What happens with PennDOT in the future,
Right.
I
And
can't comment.
And that really don't affect us. I was just curious. So, but it's so close.
It is close.
So close.
Those are pretty easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Next evening.
See you.
Sheets, short and simple, they'll be looking to come next month. They still have some items to address. They did get a recommendation from the planning commission level, but they would rather come next month when everything's kind of tied up a little better.
Okay, sounds good.
And for motorsports, that, we have someone here tonight for that property as well. In short, they're proposing a pole barn. It's somewhat of a significant size, so we asked to go through the waiver of land development. The planning commission, just to discuss that real quick, they did make a recommendation for the waiver conditional upon a stormwater agreement being executed and recorded, just to address some of the concerns from our letter. But Jeremy's here representing Crossroads and the client. I'll let you kind of give a little more information.
Yeah. Jeremy Hogan from the Crossroads.
Before we start, back to Winkler. There's no improvements or there's no agreements on this?
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. Jeremy Hogan from the Crossroads Group, for the engineer and land surveyor. As Scott said, I did bring a plan if you want me to put it up and look at it.
Yeah, please.
I can do that. We did discuss this with the planning commission a few weeks ago. So, this Scott has mentioned was that important. The proposal is to put a 5,000 square foot pole barn on the existing site. It's located on top of existing macadam. The proposed pole barn, if you're familiar with the site, it's an auto dealership. The pole barn is for vehicular storage only. There's one typo that we discussed at the planning commission.
Yeah, it was pretty glaring, so
That's all right.
the size of the property is what I claimed the size of the building was. It is not 122,000 square feet. It's, I'd say roughly the existing 20, maybe.
It's 12 and a half, I think.
Oh, is it that one? All right.
It's 12 and a half, yeah. Yeah, a little more than twice, 2.5 times as big as the existing building is what we're proposing, which was big enough to ask for a waiver of land development. There is no proposed sewer service, there's no proposed water service. This isn't for extended staff. I believe we noted all of those things on the plans as well. There's no additional staff, no water, no sewer. It's just for roofed vehicular storage on the site. We believe it's accessory use. We believe, and I submitted a letter to the township. Actually, have a section that describes the waiver of land development, and I believe we comply with de minimis improvements, basically, and how they impact the site. Again, the building's over top of macadam. There's no stormwater increase with the proposed design. However, when we talked to the planning commission, we agreed, and the plan agrees, to handle downspouts probably through rain barrels, a collection. I anticipate, and talked to the client about this after the planning commission, we planned or something to beautify this a little bit and reuse the water there. But we're not increasing runoff. However, with the downspout, it's going to concentrate roof runoff and take it somewhere. So we want to make sure we address that. We're happy to have a stormwater agreement. I don't know that there would be an escrow for that. Other than, I think what we talked about was just, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, just an agreement to say we'll maintain responsibility in a reasonable manner.
Yeah. As he said, there is an existing paved parking lot over there. It's kind of not in the greatest shape, but it technically is a paved parking lot. And even though they're not increasing the impervious, they're going to concentrate where it comes off the roofs by spouts. We just want to make sure that as close as it is to the property lines, that it doesn't become an annoyance to the neighbor, either now or down the line.
So how much? Yeah, well, there's a right of way to get to the property in the back.
Oh,
What was the question?
who was the side of is that ST or the trucking?
There's a right of way right there, and then there's Estes.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, it's actually a flag lot.
Oh, I didn't know, okay.
Yeah, it's a flag that comes back. Goes back there.
How much of the impervious are you covering?
So there is a line on the plan, and it's hard to see here. I did hatch it on
Just
here.
roughly. It's not all.
No, this is all macadam. There's a little light hatch through here. We'll bring the building up here over top. They have a number of vehicles out there, predominantly up front in front of the building. There's a lot
The
of
big
them.
park vehicles over there, I see that makes
Yeah.
sense to put them in the building.
That's like a standard post and beam construction.
Yeah, it's a full building.
5,100.
5,500, that's right. Thank you. We will, so the other thing was brought up, I was talking to Conservation District, I have an email over to them. We're right at the threshold, I'm not naive, we're a 5,000 square foot building, 5,000 square feet is the threshold. I'm sure they're going to start a little bit more. However, it's also over paving and macadam. So does it meet every definition of what disturbances to them? That's what we're trying to figure out. If they need to review and approve it, put the plan in front of them. I don't anticipate anything other than 12-inch filter stock on going, to be honest.
Yeah, we weren't trying to push additional costs for any reason on this, but the Conservation District over time has become a little picky on what the township does ask for approvals through the DEP or doesn't. And then to just say that we've asked them to verify and make sure that they are following any requirements they have. That's simply the comment there. The other thing I would say is, and he touched on it, that Jeff had been in touch with the applicant, the property owner, just to verify what is the purpose of the building. And it's not to increase the footprint for an office or for additional staff, or should the lighting be changed. Generally speaking, that isn't going to occur. So just to kind of memorialize it, we had notes put on the plans for that. He actually had most of them there already. But the operation is really to stay as it is. It just provides a more covered space for some of the vehicles.
I believe there's one employee that works on the site, and he's part-time, and that's not gonna change. The only caveat I just want to bring up is the building permit plan review that was done. There is a section in the plumbing code that it would require to have a bathroom. We're trying to work through that, as it really doesn't make sense to have a bathroom in the building for car storage, especially when there's 3 in the building right next door. So if something would happen, because we talked about not having service to the building, there's that remote possibility that they may have to. But we're trying to work through that.
Is there anything on the plan about what's happening with the roof drains?
No.
No, not on this plan. The discussion happened after, but that's something, like I said, we're happy to agree to set up an agreement with the township, noted on the plan. I haven't taken any plan revision steps until we got the board. Hopefully got your favor on the waiver of land development.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we're gonna have an agreement, it has to be based upon something in a plan that could be recorded. I mean, I think it's pointless unless we make it enforceable. And so if we're gonna have an agreement, I want it to be recorded, and in order to make it effective, we need to have some kind of, it doesn't necessarily have to be a plan, but we need to describe what stormwater management is gonna occur on the property, and, then if we describe what your client's supposed to do, then we have something we could potentially enforce. So, if it's gonna be rain barrels, and rain barrels are gonna be emptied on landscaping, that's gonna be maintained on the property, and I don't know, is that?
That was the intention, and I do intend to, so I intend to revise the plan, show where the gutter lines are discharged, show the roof barrel, the rain barrel.
If that can be added to, again, with a waiver, we don't normally have anything recorded. So we would need some kind of a plan that could be attached to this agreement to be recorded. So if we're not recording the land development plan, then, I'd want an 8.5 by 11 sheet that shows the location of the building, shows drainage, shows the rain barrels, shows maybe where the landscaping is, if the water's going to be used on. Then I think I have something to work with to put an agreement together.
We could certainly do that. Would 11 by 17 work? Would that fit into an agreement? That's an easy size to half this down.
We have to shrink it then to record it, so.
We can make an 8.5 by 11. I'll give a sheet
Well,
showing this area.
Maybe I can do bigger. I'll get back to you on that, on
Okay.
what size I can work with.
Okay.
I have to talk to my assistant who does the recording and see what we can work with.
If he has 2 or 3 options for what they might put in there that we agree on work, that's fine doing it that way as well.
Yeah, that'd be all right with it. I just want it to be a meaningful agreement.
Let me give you this then.
All right,
You or your assistant reaches out,
sure.
lets me know what size it is. I can tailor this one way or another.
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
So again, they're looking for the waiver of land development on this with the understanding there is stormwater to be recorded to kind of capture the stormwater situation. Any other questions?
I was just going to ask Chris if there's any reason why we shouldn't be doing that stormwater waiver.
Well, the land development waiver, I don't really have a problem with. Frankly, I think this stormwater agreement is a little belts and suspenders already because, we're dealing with a paved area and we're just putting a roof over a paved area. And for that reason alone, I don't have a lot of concern about this because I don't perceive that the stormwater impacts are going to change as a result of this project.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, because it's impervious on impervious, they really don't need to do stormwater improvements. The concern was the ordinance where it says you shouldn't affect the runoff to that. You shouldn't change the runoff where it affects your neighbor. That was what we were trying to capture, and to your point, we thought maybe put something on the plan, but the plan doesn't get recorded, so a simple stormwater agreement.
Well, tell me
That's where
why,
we're to.
why do we think it'll affect the neighbor differently with this than the existing condition? I haven't connected the dots on that yet.
So this was brought up, to be blunt, I don't think it'll have much of an impact. But we didn't want an agreement to hold up approval of a waiver of land development. We don't have a problem with rain barrels, it's not a burdensome thing to add to the plan. I don't know, this naturally drains down here, and there's a channel back in here. It's gonna drain across McAdam and into the woods.
So are we concentrating the flow in some way with this building and divert the water?
Again, without it being on the plans, I always try to say, don't do it when it comes to whenever that plan gets provided and design gets thrown out there. And if they threw it off the back of the building, could it concentrate to that flag lot of the neighbor's property? That was the concern. I think we quickly came to the idea of the stormwater agreement. Everybody was,
All right, so there's been no
Happy to do
analysis
so.
that really says that. it
no,
is
there really wasn't a
concentrated.
final design on it either, so it was just a concern raised, and that was kind of
All
the
right, well, that
solution. But
seems reasonable to address it this way. So I guess I'm still okay with the waiver, but now I understand a little bit better why the agreement was discussed. And I think it's a reasonable strategy to mitigate any potential impact it could have on the downstream property owner.
It's
over.
Well, make a motion, Brent, I'm not really
On the condition that
on a condition that the stormwater is worked out.
All in favor?
Thank you all. I'll get this to you, Scott, and you too. Or you're from the conservation.
We discussed Jay's Auto, we're good there. Street work update, we met with them, paperwork's done, they're ready to go. They're gonna start Sheridan School Road Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think they're gonna hit some of the other, the roadways that we have in the contract. And then by Monday, move into the Kale Drive Township parking lot area, start milling out, digging that. They expect that work to be about 4 days. And that's about it.
And Robbie's got everything else done out here the way it looks.
So a string line out there, I think he's gonna rush to beat that, but I think he has no problem. Yeah, he's got this week.
He's got the drain box in.
Oh, all the general improvements, yeah, he's had those done for a little while. He's just getting a couple
Just have to work.
cobblestones up there.
Deals
So,
with the neighbor. Something like that process.
okay, yeah. And that area, I wasn't bringing it up, but it does also have quite a bit of a dip coming off of the highway there. They're coming in and milling that out. The idea was to try to bring that road up a little bit. I don't know how that would play into what the discussion was just now, but that's still, I think, the plan, because that's just gonna help everything, especially the turns of the equipment, so.
But if it is like in that drawing, then it's gonna be a challenge, because they're not gonna want 1 inch of anything on your side. So almost, and I don't know how we do it because of the way the angle of the road, it's hard to see the lot, if we have to move the driveway down further, we probably need to know where the lines are.
Yeah, they're gonna want you to excavate any asphalt that's already there.
This might be an opportune time to get rid of that bush in the negotiations. Absolutely.
That's not gonna happen, that's not gonna happen.
Make it part of this deal. But we'll wait and see where.
Yeah, let's see what
Rob, you around tomorrow?
it's.
Not sure.
Okay. Well, I might just I think just to get out there and look at it, I might meet with Cody and just to look at it and see what we're up against on that end. Okay.
Whatever road it's on.
You know, any surveyors are gonna get favors, come out on short notice.
We'll find out tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see what we can do.
This is the found pins that are in the right spot.
Yeah.
Right.
That's,
But it does make sense because the evil,
Yeah, the people have been cutting the corner.
they keep them cutting the corner.
So, doesn't sound like it was well designed from day
No.
one, and this is the consequence of that.
I mean, how many, this is situation 750 that we deal with here. We're planning, but I'm thinking this would, I mean, if that is the case, we might have to go over this way.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. If there's any way we can cheat onto that, even though there's that
A
pole
little
there.
bit that way.
Well, them poles, I don't wanna move utility poles.
It's not gonna happen soon either. So.
Still gotta be able to make a cut there with a tractor trailer.
Yeah,
That's,
or any kind of truck.
pay around a pole with Jersey barriers like they did at, yeah, you know, what was that, the home improvement store down in Milford Township? You remember that? For years, they had the paved around the poles with Jersey barriers.
Yeah, we'll jump in that one.
All right.
One note I did want to make, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Scott. When they do end up doing the parking lot and the township building, they're going to have no driving on the parking lot. So the office is going to be closed for that time, and I will be working off-site, just to let everybody know. Because if they're gonna be tearing out, we don't want to have, not that we have a whole lot of people, residents coming in and out of the township building. It's best that they don't come down the street into the parking lot, et cetera.
Put it on the website.
Yep, I do have it on the website already. I mean, it's gonna be weather permitting, of course, but it's gonna be a day-to-day thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Willow Crest, unfortunately, some of that did not get resolved to the point we can address that tonight. There was comments on the agreement, and we're still going through that. Robbie and I and Grande just resolved that. We're pushing right now to get that finalized and done so that we can move on to, we want to get it done before September because of the dedication period. I think we're close. It's just unfortunately it wasn't before this meeting.
All right. Good, Scott?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Lincoln Sewer Report.
You have our update report, and that's really, at this point, just for your information. There isn't anything that I'm asking you to take any official action on tonight. Do you have any questions or anything that's on that report?
No. Okay, Step Back Engineering.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second? I'm sorry.
This is the second one.
I know. There was an overpayment on 391 Park Road that Michelle had noticed 2 months ago, and I forgot about this last month. There's $25.43 extra, and they wanted that to go back to the title company that actually paid it off. Just needed to have the board's approval to go ahead and write that check.
I'll make that motion. All in favor?
Thank you. All right, I'm done.
All right. Stack Back Engineering Report, you have that. He's working on a few things. I don't think he's asked for any questions.
Well, the only thing on there that I would want to bring your attention is on this potential new connection to the sewer system. Is that on this report?
Yeah.
Yes, the very top one.
Yeah, okay. Northeast Products. So is that an approved land development plan, or is that one that's at the planning commission?
No, that's one that's already developed.
Okay, so now they
Sorry,
just
which one was
wanna,
that on?
okay, Northeast Products,
Oh, yes,
So-
sorry.
so they're not building anything new, but they wanna connect to the public sewer. Okay.
Yeah, there is an expansion of the building, they're looking at the property improvements, but
Aren't they connected now?
no.
They're online or they're always there or?
But, and they're within you, huh? And aren't they within the regulation of this main
Well, see,
sewer?
that's the issue, is that, Scott, sent me, the other Scott, sent me, a copy of the exhibit to our current sewer agreement with Fleetwood, and this property is not within the approved sewage service area. So, I don't wanna disrespect Fleetwood by just connecting people who aren't within the service area. I think the right way to do this is to go through the front door and get an amendment to the agreement to add this property. Now, the other piece of this too is that they will need an easement through the property that we are gonna get from Grande in order to make this connection. So,
But will, because it would seem that they are a lot closer to sewer lines than they are going all the way across the easement.
I don't know.
I mean, there's gotta be a sewer line out front here.
I don't think there is.
Are the two houses in the front not connected?
That I don't know, but I remember sewer doesn't come all the way out.
Well, all the residents in the borough are connected and it touches the borough. So it would surprise me,
The connection, if I remember from that construction, it seemed like the sewer connection actually came in the back and went directly over to the plant. So it, that end house when it come in, the sewer was in front of that, if I remember correctly. But it doesn't go back to the Northeast Properties.
so that would be the second question I would have. If we're doing the back property, we should check about the front two properties. Right?
Do we want to require those people to hook up? I mean, I wonder if they would become subject to our sewer connection
Wouldn't
ordinance.
they? Because they're within 150 feet.
I mean, it could be that if we add them to the sewer service area, that they must connect. And is that the outcome that you want?
I just don't want to do this property and then in a year do these two. I mean, it's all one.
Well, those properties, okay, you're talking about there are two residences on the frontage.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like unintended consequences. Because, if you add it to the service area, I'm confident that they will be required under our sewage connection ordinance to connect.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. We've got to think this through. That's.
And how much capacity do we have under our agreement with Fleetwood? Do we have plenty of capacity that we could hook up free? I don't know. That's not something that Scott and I talked about because it wasn't part of this discussion.
I think he confirmed one.
Well,
I
that
just
is,
remember seeing some of the emails on
the
past.
need and answer question wasn't asked, so.
And I'm not asking the question to not get answered, but if we do it, and there should technically be required, and we're opening up.
Well, they're only required,
Unforeseen. I mean, if they ambushed through this whole thing. And
well, that,
no, it would be.
I would say, create the possibilities of conflict between the adjoining property owners. If this guy's request triggers making them spend a lot of money connecting public sewer, that, I mean, you have to be very intentional about choosing to go down that path if you want to do that, because I do think there's risk of some serious objection.
I would think.
And the one, I mean, as a commercial property, those are both residential properties.
I mean, the expansion at this commercial property may have already put some stress on these residential neighbors. This would be adding a lot more. I'm just saying, these are all the.
No, and I understand that, but what I'm saying is, he hooks to the sewer, 6 months from now, their septic fails, now they wanna join. I mean, we don't ask the residents if this is what they wanna do when we put sewer in. This is what you do. And I understand, I'm not saying that's what we should do. I just wanna do it once, if that's what we're doing.
Are they on public water?
If they're not on sewer, I don't think they're on public water.
No, that's not necessarily the same.
I know, because, you know, the Hewitt Drive, I mean, the front over on. But how would we know that without asking Scott?
The road changes.
And Fleet?
At this point, we don't even know if Fleetwood has capacity for those.
Correct.
Well, here's a couple of possibilities. One is, do we want to ask these people if they would like to connect and make it their choice? And also ask Scott if we have enough capacity for all three.
That sounds like either way approach to me.
I mean, you know, I know what you're saying. I mean, it is, if their systems fail, they're gonna need to connect. And then it could be that, you know, there will be things that'll cost more money because of separating the two processes. On the other hand, you know, it is.
It might last forever.
Yeah. Well, do we have a consensus of approach here?
I think we need some additional information as far as capacity and. You said it makes a difference if they're on public water.
I'm not sure if it does or not, but it could affect, I don't know if it would affect the type of replacement system that they could install. Like if their on-lot system fails, if they're on public water, does that give them any more flexibility on an on-lot system? Not really. Sure.
No,
I don't know.
I'm not gonna think of that.
I
So
just,
maybe we just get
Right.
Scott's
Yeah.
recommendation. See, Scott, this is what we're looking at. Should we see if they're on the sewer the first? Maybe they're connected. I doubt they are.
they're not in on, well, does this have the map on? I'm just saying. See if I can find the.
I mean, you think you make the line big enough coming in for all of them, and then just tie in one for now, and you can always tie it later. I mean, if that's a
In our
possibility.
ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, if you're within 150 feet of the line, you must connect.
So if we put the line
So that's what I'm saying. If
150
they-
foot from their connection or
If they
from the
put the
property
line in and they're within 150 feet, it automatically triggers with the ordinance that they have.
From the property line.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they're in the service area, then they're gonna have to connect. So this decision,
And we can't put, maybe, can we just put one property in the service area and not the other two?
that I think we can. Okay, here's the map. They're not in it.
And they're not in it. Is this all in? This is all in.
Mhm.
But not that looks like. And then what about this? That's the
No,
school,
yeah, well, they're not in it.
but they're connected.
they could be a customer of Fleetwood, in which case
It might be.
they're not part of our, they don't pay bills, those, do they? Does the school?
No.
No, I don't think so.
So how can they be in our township and be directly with Fleetwood?
Because they made a deal and the supervisors must have agreed to it. I mean, I would. the
It has to
school-
go, it has to get approved through here.
Yeah, but was the school built before we did the Walnut Town sewer system?
No. Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
The school was before all the towns? I mean, the time flies so quickly. I don't know.
it would have been pretty close.
That school's been there at least 10 years.
Well, the Walnut Town sewer system was what, 20?
Yeah,
20, 24? Yeah, I think the sewer system came first.
Yeah, the school.
So does it not seem odd that that little sliver is not included?
If the sewer came in 20, yeah, the sewer was first. Because the school didn't come until 2006, 2007, somewhere. I know my daughter.
I just wonder if we should address this property.
There for.
Well, if we have the capacity and if those two residential property owners wanted voluntarily to connect, this would be a good time to do it.
So who runs the line?
Well, I don't know how the collection system is designed there. I mean,
So they would be, I think they wanted to tie directly into a manhole that was part of the Willow Crest development, because most of those, I think the main sewer line runs north of the houses in the Willow Crest development.
And they just want to run it out the
And they
back.
just want to come in and basically put a lateral on that line, run it up their property. The comments we had was you're gonna need approval and easements from the township, same from the sewer engineer.
But the only reason that works at Willow Crest is because they're on public water. And that's how they get there. No, they don't. It doesn't, they just don't want to be free. Yeah, I don't know. So a lot of
Well, I guess the place
questions.
to start would see if they have capacity first.
Right.
And then maybe reach out to the landowners and see if they were interested in it.
And then we have to get permission to make it in that coverage area for Fleetwood. Correct?
yeah. I mean, there's a couple of pieces to this. And then, there has to be a permitting process with DEP. I mean, I would think that we would do a sewer module or the developer, one of these, the commercial business would do a sewer module, and that would act as an amendment to the township's Act 537 plan under the DEP regs. So, but that, if we are adding additional properties, we could end up getting into some cost sharing on some of these planning expenses, as well as some construction expenses.
And I think that the engineer for the applicant posed the question saying, can we revise the map to include us, with the understanding that the applicant's paying that cost? I mean, the lateral at this point is part of their land development plan, so they'd be paying for that part of the cost, but so what you're saying, the other modifications, I'm not,
If we are making it a more complicated project,
with multiple.
there would be additional expenses.
I think we should get Scott's opinion as well.
See what you said, capacity and see how, unless we just want to address it one property at a time.
Well, why don't we take it a step at a time at least, and go back to Scott and say, do we have capacity to connect these other two properties, and do you have a recommendation about whether or not we should pursue that? Just let it go at that.
Right.
Bring that information back to you. I mean, are they under any deadline to do this? They expressed to you some
I mean,
urgency?
I would say that the Our sewer line is not I think they added that on because they're going through the land development process. That while we're doing this, let's hook to the sewer if
Do
it's
they
an
have, is
opportunity.
their system failing? or
I
has
don't
it
think
failed?
so. I think this was the opportunity that they saw. What's that?
Are they building more?
They're, yeah, they're looking to expand their building, which is a non-conformity to what the ordinance would allow.
Remember they came in and asked for an increase. But there's a hearing board and that they were denied. But in the ordinance, as a non-conforming, entitled to 50%.
Okay, so you're saying they would like to do something less than what they had proposed to.
Correct.
Right. So you said there was an approved land development plan. Was that just for, you said there was not an approved?
I don't know if there was,
Approved.
yeah, I think there was one submitted, they went after a variance that got denied, and I think that got put on hold probably about 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
Short of that, I think there was a zoning permit for the property and the use. And that
Yeah,
was
the
it.
zoning permit was when they,
Changed, modified the use.
when this company came in there.
So they're revisiting the zone, the land development plan. And they revamped what they're proposing, but there is an expansion of the building and the property to what can and can't be. I mean, that's part of what they're exploring right now is the building and some of the paving stoned areas around the property.
Okay.
So if the land development doesn't go through, they might not want to. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it's a function of something failing. I think it was a function of submitting a land development plan, and it's a good time
Well,
to
it could be that
propose.
where they're, if they have a drain field, that they would like to use that area for something else. This could be part of their development of that plan.
So I guess we can start, see if they open capacity.
Let's start there.
All right.
All right, I know what to do next. Thank you.
Oh, also, I think it's 2 Sundays in a row or 2 Sundays out of the last 3 weeks. Birds got into the electrical transformer in Walnut Town, blew the fuse. Backup pump didn't come on. Envirotech was there 4 times to service it, can't seem to get it to function. So till Med Ed came out, we had to pump it out. And then the pump started, and then they pumped it to, they didn't have to haul it off site. My last conversation with, my first conversation Sunday morning with the operator. His name slips on my book.
Scott.
No,
Fulford.
Ken Fulford. He thought to replace the pump with a generator. Because right now it's a gas powered pump. That kicks in, but we can't test it, we can't run it, and it has failed the last 2 pumps.
That's the backup.
The backup. My final conversation was, hey, we think we found it, it's loose wires. We're gonna have Envirotech come out and make sure it works. It was running, it was pumping. But he thinks until these birds, whatever, it was the same issue 2 weeks in a row.
Pretty aggressive birds.
He said until they killed them all, right? The whole family. But it was 3-phase and it blew off, lost the leg. And the alarm goes off, and it was, and both times on a Sunday morning. Probably within,
And the backup generator didn't go on.
and it's not a generator, it's a pump. So the backup there's a big wet well there, but it didn't go on. It didn't have they can't get the truck out until they got the truck and pumped it out. Med Ed was there. Med Ed was very responsive.
Good.
They were there very quickly. So they pumped it out. The Med Ed came, pumped it, dumped it back in, and pumped it fleet. But there could be
Does the
cost
backup
there.
pump have any automatic transfer function where it starts automatically?
No.
So you have to manually do
And that's what he said, I can't test it weekly, and he said it's been an issue. That's the one that had the electrical, that he wanted to replace the pump, so we can fix it. And now something with the gas, because it runs off of natural gas, the line goes right there. So he was gonna suggest a natural gas generator that he could test, but now the last conversation seems to me that it's some loose wires.
that.
So,
Well, if it becomes a problem, my thinking is to go to an electric pump on a generator with an automatic transfer switch, that this thing would, in case of a power failure, the pump would start automatically.
correct.
And that's,
And that's what he suggested. Versus the pump, it's 25 years old, he said, or however many, and and we had issues with whatever it was last year.
and you have natural gas there?
Yeah.
That makes it even more attractive.
So he said he don't suggest putting another pump in, he suggests putting a generator. So I'm just bringing it up. It's a cost coming. Maybe we need to look at it sooner rather than later.
Well, my thinking is if they have a problem solved for now, maybe we get an estimate of what it costs and we budget that next month. Because that's something we should really be proactive, especially.
And especially if we talk about this pump, replacing the pump, if that's not an option. The generator, I think, is a better option.
Generator's a much better option.
Then you can run it once a week,
Yeah.
test it. And so especially with the natural gas, you don't have to have a tank, you don't have diesel fuel. It's a lot of
Makes it
sense.
a whole lot easier.
So maybe, is someone gonna reach out to Scott?
Yeah, I was gonna talk to him about this issue. Let me talk to him about this.
Yeah, just saying the one town pump station failed twice. Ken suggests a gas-powered generator. If you could just follow up and see what his thoughts are on what the cost would be. Maybe budget that for next year.
I'm gonna tell them to talk to Fulford.
Yeah, talk to Fulton.
What's nice about those, the newer ones all have scheduling. You can schedule them to test runs.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It's really nice.
So that's what he would suggest.
Kick on into the diagnostic.
And I wouldn't have thought much of it, but it's 2 weeks in a row. And then you gotta pump it out. You don't have a choice. You gotta. But he was right on it and he took care of it. Because he was Johnny on the spot. All right, that's it for that. Review the monthly report, roadmaster report. Any questions on that?
If they're getting ready for paving, we should figure out something.
I think did these stones around the township building. I might have got the same stones from the house. It's the biggest job. This is really gonna be well improved from 10 years ago.
Could I ask a question there?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know the deal there. Out there on the Gryville Road at the intersection right there by the gun club, I see on the one side of the highway, trees were all cut back and everything for better visibility. Did you guys do that?
I don't
Have that done? It's been done about 3 months ago.
Is that Richmond or is that Rockland?
That's Richmond Township there.
On that side.
Yeah, on the lower side, right there where the gun club is, on the gun club side of the.
Oh, the gun club
Gryville
side.
Road.
Right after we did the street work, I know Robbie and his crew was out, they were out trimming trees for something, but I can't say where it was.
Yeah, Robbie would be the guy to ask. He's not here.
That's a state road.
Talk about Ruth Road, Driveway Road.
Yeah, that's the name, or Ruth Road.
We trimmed the trees on Ruth Road 2 or 3 years ago, but I don't know about the intersection.
Well, they took the whole tree down, totally.
Yeah, they took the trees out. I was just wondering whether you did that, whether they couldn't do something on the other side there for the people that come down the hill for visibility.
I don't know, that's a state road, so that wouldn't be us. On the other side. Right? That's something we can ask Robbie though.
Hey, when you're talking about trimming trees, last night there was a thing on Facebook. I guess it's on Maiden Creek Road. I think it's in Richmond Township, but apparently there's a tree that's hanging on wires, and the guy took a photo of it. And he didn't know who to report it to. Is that something like whose responsibility
utility won't do anything about it
until it,
until it comes down. Till the
because
water
somebody
comes down.
said, well, if it's reported and reported to the utility, if something would happen, they could be held liable.
Good luck with that.
I don't know, I was just like,
Yeah.
you know, the guy's trying to figure out what to do about it.
And it's a state road too, so that's.
And they were, well, that was brought up, and it was like, people wanted to crucify the guy.
Usually medical wires, they'll tend to Verizon and
I mean, well, he
anything
took a
else,
picture
yeah.
and it's, you can see it laying horizontally through the other trees.
Yeah, if it's not on the primary wires, forget about it.
Is that near the cement mill?
No, I think it's coming down this way.
Down the hill.
Yeah, I think. I wasn't sure where it was at, but somebody said, well, it's,
So I
they
tried
said
that
it's
with
Baden Creek, call the township. The guy just wanted to know, you know, because he's like, it's gonna fall eventually.
The trees are terrible right now. I don't know how they can keep up. All right, resignation of Matthew Boyer as of July 12th. Do we have to make a motion to accept that, or? Sure. Make a motion, I make a motion to accept that.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Did we advertise?
Yes, I started advertising for that on Tuesday, July 2nd. We're having it run for 2 weeks. We've had pretty many applicants and resumes from that. So I put
So
them on
where-
Robbie's desk and we're going through those just to see.
Where'd you advertise?
Indeed.
All right, payment of the bills.
General fund, we had check numbers 11533 to 11571, including EFTs for $174,191.54.
I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
State fund, we had no checks. Light fund, check number 2173 for $783.54.
I'll make a motion to pay it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Sewer fund, we had check numbers 3214 to 3216, including EFTs for $15,886.13.
I'll make a motion to pay it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
And the fire companies did not have any checks as of today, or as of last month. They just got cut today for the workers' comp. So they did not get included in the actual, this will be next month's report.
Okay.
We had Berks County supporting our website for several years, and the last 2 years, we have been with Wix. That was one of the options that a lot of the townships were going with. As of the end of August, is going to be our anniversary date with Wix that we either renew or cancel. I've noticed through the past 2 years that there's a lot of pages, applications and such that are getting dropped, minutes that are getting dropped off the page. Residents will call up and say, I couldn't find this on your website. I go on the website, I click on the application, and it says it comes with a problem. So of course, I'm the one that actually loads everything on the website. So I don't know how they're dropping. I've tried to reach their customer service, and they have horrible customer service. I did reach out to 2 companies that have website designs that I have quotes in here for. I would not like to continue with Wix because of the problems in customer service that we have with them. NA Studios is my choice to go with. They actually go around and take pictures of the township periodically. If there's stuff with snow plowing, if there's new paved roads, they'll go around and take pictures of new paved roads. They will post everything on the website. If there's minutes, agendas, everything, they will post everything. They will monitor it just to make sure everything is working properly. They have to actually start up the site and get everything together. They are a more expensive package, but they pretty much take a hold of it and design the package for you. Whereas B-Marketing, you have to tell them what you want, where you want it, and I think we need more of a more sophisticated website. They will actually archive minutes as well. So you don't have pages upon pages of minutes and YouTube videos, et cetera, of the meetings.
How are they as far as the reoccurring costs?
Reoccurring costs are $300 per month, but that is to, basically, if anything falls off the page, they will attend to it immediately.
What do we pay them?
Right now, we're paying, I think it's $600 a year through Wix.
$600 for the service.
Yeah, basically. I know Greenwich uses NA Studios, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Maxiton uses eMarketing. Which they're both good websites, but from what I understand, eMarketing is more of a, you tell them what to do and they'll do it, where NA Studios will start taking pictures, they'll create the website appropriately. And they have a quote on here for $200 per page, which right now we have a lot of pages between the boards, the minutes, the agendas, which I think once I look at everything, we can narrow that down so it won't be as expensive and make it more confined.
And you talked to, have you talked to some of the townships that have them, are they satisfied?
Yes, very much so.
Is there a contract?
No,
And the quote
yes.
to the end of their, so, the last 3 pages. 4 pages.
Yeah, the $7,950, that's for the setup and everything. That's just a one-time, once and done fee, and then it's $300 per month to maintain, update, pictures, all that posting that's on there. And,
How long has Greenwich been using it?
For a few months now. They just changed over. Yeah.
Sam, you're the.
I think we should freshen it up. I mean, in today's world, that's an outrageous price.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's right line.
Right, and I do know, I didn't realize it before when I was talking to the gentleman from NA Studios. He said it's, that's ADA compliant, which I didn't know that was a thing, and they have,
It is a thing.
yeah. It is a thing, which I didn't realize, and also the stormwater management. They're going to have a stormwater management plan, and their information on there that is supposedly very important and state regulated.
Well, if there's no contract and it turns into shipwreck, we can always do something that helps.
Right. But right now, anything is better than what we have.
Freshen it up.
Yeah.
Person, you could accept this?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at the existing. You say it's expiring.
Contract was for 2 years, and basically at that time it happens, and I've had more problems with things dropping and.
Much do you notice, like a 30-day notice?
Yes, yep,
In that time frame?
yes. It actually expires in September, but they want to know by August, so we're in that time.
But this, NA Studios, they have good references here. And I agree that the price is not out of line with what I would expect for the level of service that they're providing.
I make a motion that we accept this quote.
And the only other thing I wanted, municipalities are changing their meeting times to meet, rather than sticking with 7 o'clock, some people are meeting at 6 or 6:30. Because some of the meetings are going longer. I didn't know if anybody had any suggestions or recommendations for next year.
Do you guys have, anybody have an issue here at 6?
No, actually.
Scott?
No.
Chris?
I like 6.
I like 6 too. I guess maybe it's because I'm just getting older.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
As long as we can try to get out of here an hour earlier than we would.
Oh, yeah. That would be the goal. Yes. Yeah, I like it. I never even, we should have thought of this 5 years ago.
I don't know who triggered it, but a lot of municipalities are starting to
Yes.
pick up.
Yeah.
that it's not
Whoever
just-
triggered it
has to
was
be
a
itself.
good deal.
Okay,
I like it.
all right. That's all I have.
Now we start the new year.
Yes.
So, you thinking about earlier.
Or sooner.
We just have to run an advertisement for that, Brian.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of getting it earlier.
But I gotta say, I have meetings that have moved from 7 to 6, and people are, it's been 2 years, people are still coming at 7 o'clock because they can't get it through their heads to move. But people get used to it.
That's not. Yeah, we're gonna adjourn to an executive session. Not
I
adjourn.
don't want to adjourn, I want to
Not adjourn.
recess.
Recess. Let's recess to executive session.
You can do that or make me copy.
Oh, yes.
Good timing. Great for it. Good timing. 473.
That's what this guy's doing.
That's what I haven't seen
I
here
don't leave.
more than a few times.
I guess we're going in the office.
Yeah, last time I picked an ox box. I think done it in.
He's right.
Yeah.
And it would be one of the things. I would say.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That's something, I don't know if they've always had it. I mean, I talked to the guy one time. I had that time to get hold of him. Yeah. And I told him, this is what you need.
You know.
I have no idea. No, he's right.
We got a deal.
Okay. Which one is it?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
We're good. We're good.
You got my number.
Unless you want to stick around anymore.
Yeah,
I'll
send you
There, we just started shooting some charts. That's where it starts.
Otherwise, because I started and I'm third shift. I want to push forward. Well, I can't really push forward. Oh, man, I'm sorry about the local. So I appreciate it.
Chris, check it out.
So
Well, that's my concern. Okay.
so hopefully. I'll work it. So what? Like Friday was my last day. So now I'm at home. So hopefully we can go faster the other way. Hopefully.
Are they done or too long?
Well, it is, according to their thing, no, they shouldn't be done. I have a private meeting before the end of the meeting. Because I wanted to try and find out about something. Find out what kind of internet services are allowed in Richmond Township.
Whatever. They have control over that.
Yes, they do.
How?
The internet companies, when they come through the township, if they're gonna service people in the township, have to have permission from them.
That's not what they're telling you.
And they gotta pay fees to them. Because I was just talking to one of them, they just ran all new lines in Rockland Township. But they won't set foot in Richmond. They're only 2 poles, they said 1 pole away from my house. They can't come to my house. Because Verizon internet at my place sucks. It's like using fucking snail mail.
That's it, maybe, yeah.
Got going round and round and round with Verizon, they refuse to do anything about it, upgrade their service.
Well, it's like I said about the guy, I think it's right here in this section of Maiden Creek that comes up off of 662 before you get up to the Twin Churches up there.
Yeah.
Where the tree is. And somebody was like, oh, the township, look, they literally crucified the guy. I mean, about just asking that question, like, what direction do I go? Can anybody point me in the right direction? And a lot of people just jump out on social media, Facebook or whatever, and they're just asking questions. And they were like, man. And I was like, well, if it's on the lines, like my father-in-law worked for First Energy for Med Ed for a number of years. I mean, the whole time I did. And they had the philosophy, if the power line wasn't on the ground, they weren't touching it. For a number of years, they didn't trim trees, they just cut that all out. It was all cost savings. When you go down through it, you see a dead tree. Like there's one on 143 before you get to Virginville. It's right there on the road. And it's a big dead ash tree. And I'm like, I wonder when the heck this thing's gonna just fall on the road. And maybe they get lucky and it just falls small branch by small, small piece by small piece until it's down. But I understand it. If you're a homeowner and you gotta get like a big tree like that taken down,
You put a lot of money.
yeah.
But if it's close enough to the wires and proves to be a hazard to the wires, you can talk to Med Ed and get them to do it through their tree trimming service. I've done that. But I also had it happen a couple years back. They were through, they trimmed the wires. Main line comes in my driveway and then there's a transformer. I said something over the tree that came up, the wire. So, you can top that off. While you're up there with the puppet. Oh, that's high enough out of the way we can't do off the bottom. Lo and behold, a couple months later, snapped down across the wires and caught fire.
Imagine that.
Well, the neighbor saw it before me, called the fire company. When I saw it, I called Med Ed right away. The fire company came out there, they were standing there for over an hour waiting for Med Ed to show up. The guy from Med Ed showed up, looked at it, drove up the road, pulled the disconnect up the road and shut like 4.5 dozen houses off. He come back down, he said, boy, they left awfully quick. And I looked at the guy, I said, well, they've been standing here for over a fucking hour waiting for you to show up.
Yeah.
He just looked at me. You know what he did? Up it up, went up there, cut the wires off coming into my place, went back up, turned the power on to everybody else. They had to get a tree trimming crew out there to take the trees off the wires. And then they had to come back out and reconnect the main line. It's like, talk about it. The way that they're running Med Ed.
When I did my rental next door, it had been mentioned 8 years or back, 7, 8 years at least, that I had to upgrade it to service. And all of a sudden the people were like, my lights, like they flickered and they had problems. You know what it was? So when the electrician that I had tapped me back in on the service, you know what a split bulb is?
Yeah.
They use split bulbs. Well, once you put it in, then you're supposed to call, and then Med Ed comes out and switches them out to their connection.
Mm-hmm.
That was never done. So one of the split bolts had gone bad. So I could take a meter and I could go on one side, but when I touched the other side, there was no continuity. So my father, like I said, went through my head. When I already cut the seal on the panel, I opened it up on the meter, took the meter out, and I was testing because I tested in on my panel box, and the one lead coming in didn't have any voltage.
Mm-hmm.
So I tested out at the meter base. So I'm on the phone with the head, and I said, it's on your line coming in. So they sent this service guy out. He's like, I said, look, you know, he looked and he's like, "It's kind of back in your yard." I said, yeah, just watch the sewer. He backed the bucket truck right up to the house and he went up and said, I'm not supposed to do this. He cut the lines, put their connections in. He's like, it was never inspected. And I was like, well, I said, you know Scott Bench? Well, yeah. I said, well, that's my father-in-law. And I said, I'm pretty sure. So my father-in-law, he's like, so he was like, so all of a sudden when my father-in-law went back into work the next week, it just went away. He's like, no, it was inspected. It was supposed to be inspected, and they dropped the ball. They messed up. But he resealed, put the meter back in, he resealed it. Everything's been fine since.
Mm-hmm.
But I had that split bolt, and I was like, that is so weird. I mean, it was all, you know, in there, cranked down, all electrical taped up. But I guess it just, I mean, it was oxidized or whatever, and it didn't carry through.
No, it's like, I was working on the electric service for the swimming club. The wall unfit thing. I'm never there, and it's like, for some reason, we got there the one day for me, and it was like, yeah, this shit don't work. They're trying to figure out fusing the clubhouse glue, they figured. You know, fused down at the pole. The poles were good too. Here, the wires at the top of the pole at the weatherhead corroded off. They were only in there for like 50-some years. It's like, luckily it didn't decide to catch the pole or anything else on fire because it's not in the neighbor's yard where the meter base is. I mean, that meter base is gotta be about 400 feet away from the clubhouse, which ain't exactly legal anymore either. They lean against the pole, the whole pole shakes, it's ready to fall over. But they don't want to do anything, they're trying to sell it. Not the middle of it. So I said it should have had it before we get there.
It's funny now, with this old company, I like the best of friends. Well, I don't know if you ever attended months ago when it was paying another $56,000 fine. He ain't just bought them the 4 months. They're on 10. They just got, what, another 70 days on the same.
But, you know, they've been dragging their feet back in as well with that using stuff done.
I think they said they're pretty close.
Yeah, now, but that should have been done last year at this time.
I don't know why we would try to do that.
Yeah, as you were doing that,
As you were doing
you know, you hung all the panels and wired everything in, start working with your soil entities.
it. I know how that goes though. You don't have the right people.
Yeah, but they gotta do the LCD. What is that?
New England states or something.
Some of the solar farms start running sheep in there to keep the weeds down.
Yeah.
Sheep run in there and just get a dog, keep moving from area to area. Eat over here today, eat over there tomorrow.
Well, I guess sheep.
Yeah, they're low enough to get underneath their goats. Yeah, so.
Goats we they might be chewing on stuff I ain't supposed to be chewing on.
Yeah.
That's why I made me stick with sheep.
The air conditioning go off here at a certain time?
Yeah, I think so. She's very conscious of her electrical.
I know that at Spring Township, they used to do that. It was, I think, intentional.
Yeah.
People would leave.
Okay, we're back out of recess. We're going back on the record. We got an appeal to a zoning hearing decision, and we're gonna, go ahead, can you just?
No, this is regarding Gregory T. Allers, who was the applicant to the zoning hearing board, and he has filed an appeal of the zoning hearing board decision at Berks County Court of Common Pleas. And after discussing this in executive session with the board of supervisors, I'm recommending a motion by the board to direct me to attempt to settle this matter between the applicant and the zoning hearing board, and failing a settlement being reached, that the township would intervene in the county court case. Thank you.
Anybody else have any business? Anything from the public?
Yeah, I have a question. What internet services are allowed in Richmond Township?
Service Electric,
Why do we only have one?
because they have a contract.
Well, actually, the contract is only for cable television services. So any company can provide internet. The township does not regulate internet access. We're not allowed under federal law to regulate internet access.
Well, that's why is it, I was talking with, if I'm not mistaken, it's Xfinity, just brand new cables in Rockland Township. They will not come to my house because I am Richmond Township.
Well,
They
if
said they're not
you're,
allowed to cross the
if you're
township
talking
line.
about cable television,
Internet service.
all right, those are two totally unrelated things. The cable television is the only thing the township regulates. Xfinity has every right to provide you internet service in Richmond Township. So they're giving you a line of crap if they're saying they can't give you internet service in Richmond Township.
I can tell you this right now. I know I have a friend who sits on the Rockland Township Board of Supervisors. They have passed all sorts of ordinances up there for them to use the poles and everything else, that they had to do stuff. I mean, right now I'm dealing with Verizon for internet service. I tried calling Service Electric. They want your firstborn to get a new service out of them. And it's like, they're so ridiculous, it's like, forget it, I ain't dealing with them. But to try to get somebody else to come into Richmond Township, none of them will come into Richmond Township. Why?
It's a cost factor for them. I mean, there are some municipalities where there's more than one cable television service provider because it's lucrative, and they're willing to put up duplicative infrastructure without a guarantee that people are going to connect. But that is the only thing the township has a right to require a contract on is cable television. We have no authority to regulate internet service. Now, so I'm not sure what deal they made with Xfinity. I mean, I'm confident that if you look at the documents that Rockland Township has with Xfinity, it's about cable television. It's not about internet service.
It is about internet service.
I can't understand. Now, if it had to do with wireless internet, now that's another story. If it's wireless internet, it's not cable internet. then the township has the ability to have zoning regulations about where you can place antennas. So there is some authority if it's wireless internet service. But if it's cable internet service, I don't know what the township would have done. I mean, if they were trenching, there could be a permit for opening the right of way. I mean, so there could be a township permit related to trenching.
My understanding and talking to my friend about this is they had to give them some sort of right of way on the poles and something to do with right of ways.
Well,
Not only that,
but did they put up new poles?
no, they went on med poles, but ran all new cable.
I would love to see what documents were created for internet-only service on existing poles. I'm really fascinated about this conversation because I don't know by what authority that could have been the subject of an agreement.
Also, in talking with Verizon, trying to get them to do something, and when I finally got it through their heads that their service is so screwed up in my place. Every time everybody else is jumping on the internet, my internet basically goes down to nothing. And it's going to be that way all summer with the kids all at home that I can't even do anything on the internet. And they're telling me, and granted this ain't in Pennsylvania, this was up in one of the New England states, that they have almost the entire state wired up with fiber optics.
Yeah.
They're doing
But there were certain municipalities that were giving them such problems, wanting them to buy them fire trucks. They said, screw you. And
Yeah,
walked away.
no one has come to us. We haven't discouraged it. We had Service Electric. We put a lot of pressure on Service Electric to get internet service onto Mertz Road. That was a problem. This is the first I'm hearing about it. I assume on Dryville Road.
Yes, I'm on Dryville Road.
So there's no reason Service Electric shouldn't be running up there and servicing them customers.
Yeah, like I said, they go through there. I called them, contacted them, tried to get them to come up. They want your social security number, your driver's license number, your banking record. They want all sorts of ridiculous stuff out of you before they'll give you a service because, oh, you might have had a service somewhere else that you owe them money that they want to check you for.
But you have service up there from Service Electric.
It runs past my house. I don't have the cable used to come to my house. I had it disconnected years ago because I got tired of paying their bills.
Yeah.
Because they are ridiculous in
That would
price.
be by far your least inexpensive way to get quality internet would be through the cable service.
Yeah.
Really? And not from what I looked at.
Because they're not going to run internet cable down your, my opinion, they're not going to run internet cable down here when they're competing with Service Electric right
Yeah,
there.
see,
And have just you and the other 20 neighbors with Service Electric. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just thinking if.
anything Verizon does will be.
Because we don't restrict them to come in and, we can't control internet. Cable we can, but not internet. They can run internet through the whole township, correct?
There's a handful of municipalities that right now that are having Comcast. I don't know about Xfinity. Fast Bridge is a new company. They branch off of other ones, but they're coming in, and Pennsylvania doesn't have the high-speed fiber to the houses, and they're doing that. They're expanding, and it's kind of a race because there's also federal money that got earmarked for it.
There's tons of
The only thing I'm thinking, and I don't understand why Rockland would be doing it and not Richmond, is they're focusing on the populated areas. That's the part that's confusing here, but they are going on to polls, and some places are passing new ordinances for the road occupancy permits. And either making it harder or just adapting to the fact that it's these big projects. Because usually it's just street cuts is what the road occupancy permits are for. But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. We're seeing it in a bunch of places, and
There's a lot of money out
hiring
there for the
everywhere.
federal government to get internet to everybody.
Yeah. But you're saying there's nothing, you have nothing that's going to stop any internet company from coming into Richmond Township.
No, as long as they don't, if they want to trench in the right of way, they'll need a permit to do that. But that's the only,
Well, everything I've seen them doing in Rockland Township was going right down the poles.
And I would negotiate with Service Electric.
What's that?
I said Service Electric would be your, especially if they're there. Because, I mean, if they're going past you, and if you had dropped there before, they were,
No, like I told you, I don't see myself giving them all my information that they want so they can go do whatever with it the way they want it. I mean, there's way too much information that they want out of you to get a service from them.
You could ask Infinity if they'd come down, because it's not against, as long as it's not cable television, you have no, they can run internet right to your house.
yep. There's a big race to put fiber backbone everywhere.
Basically, I think that's what they were doing, running all the fiber optic
They're
cables,
running
the
multi
main
fiber.
lines.
All right, anything else? All right, make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Sam, I'm just checking to make sure we're on the same page. What we talked about, it wasn't that. This was the possibility of the sewer, if it were to ever service the area and have a traffic support. For other reasons we talked about.
Yeah, I read through it.
They did, so you saw the
Yeah.
mapping and everything.